Gary Hardcastle!
I'd like to think that Ben's costume closet exists in all of our hearts. Not on some street corner, but it's a dream that we have. Mr. Rogers wants you to know that the podium is your friend. It's not a foe, you shouldn't be scared of the podium. The podium loves you. We'll talk to you at night if you listen to the podium. Sorry, I just had to do that. I don't have a Fred Rogers impersonation. I guess maybe I do. Fred Rogers wants you to know that pregnant urinals are nothing to be laughed at. 1 out of every 300 urinals that serves in an elementary school becomes pregnant by the end of its year because it's not protected. Put a little plastic thing in that urinal. You will prevent the production of other urinals that we don't have room for. Well, you know, it's a problem. Oh, how are you? Good? I'm Gary Hardcastle, you know that. I'm just going to tell you some jokes, and I think we're going to have a good time. My wife is a veterinarian, some of you know this, and it's actually kind of interesting. I've learned a lot about veterinarian practice and veterinarianism. I think that's what she practices. And they specialize. Veterinarians specialize. So my wife specializes in dogs and cats. It's a pretty common specialty. But once I asked her, you know, do you ever think about specializing in anything else, in waterfowl, for instance? And she said that as a young girl, she had decided she was going to live her life with no egrets. Actually, we have a couple of friends who are investing their money. They're looking for places to invest, and they're pretty serious about it. They're looking for investments that involve nobody named Richard. I mean, projects or mutual funds, there can't be anybody named Richard involved. They're looking for like a low-risk investment. So I should have mentioned at the beginning, some of my jokes, you know, the standard joke works like this. You tell the joke and then there's laughter, like right after it. So you're familiar with that. And some jokes, there's a period of time between the laughter and the joke. The joke is coming with laughter, but there might be a delay, and that might be, you know, a couple of seconds. Or in my case, some of the jokes take 3 or 4 minutes, really. So at the end, actually, I've reserved a little bit of time of my 10 minutes, and that'll be the time where some of the jokes I'm giving you now will arrive, and you'll be laughing at them. And I'll be up here, fortunately. Otherwise, I would sit down, and those laughs would land on the next comedian, who may not deserve them, you know, because they're laughs from my jokes. So we'll take a few minutes at the end, a minute or so at the end, to do that. And actually, at this point, I had been trying all day to write a joke centered around the phrase perineal bleaching. You know, and I failed. If you looked at my notes, it would say perineal bleaching joke here, and I have struggled. And it occurred to me that, you know, possibly this is one of those phrases that just doesn't work in any kind. It's something you should never bring up with, I don't know, friends or family, or your own parents, say, or your spouse or partner, or her family, for instance. I mean, and it occurred to me maybe that was the problem. I mean, I do know that in my first marriage, I didn't call it that at the time. At the time, I just called it my marriage. My first wife, who again I referred to at the time as wife, she did call it her first marriage. Maybe that was a clue. I should have focused in on that. But anyway, my first marriage, I learned that you're not supposed to. Perineal bleaching is not a subject that should be brought up at various points. I did learn that at that time, so maybe that's something that I should reflect on. I'm in my second marriage now. I also know not to call it my second marriage, but it is actually my second marriage with my second wife, who I've never referred to as my second wife with her in the room. She's my wife in my marriage, and that's going pretty well. We've been married 9 years, actually. Thank you. Yeah, it is. We're both Midwesterners, so we grow up and continue to repress all of our emotions and feelings. So the 9 years is a long time for two people to live in the same house without either of them acknowledging that either of them poops. But we're good. We're good. We could probably get rid of the toilets. I mean, neither of us. We could call the bluff because, you know, as far as we're concerned, I don't know what that's for. I've never even guessed, I guess, to come over and use our toilets. But I mean, I still screw up. I have to admit, it's a work in progress. And I think my husband's skills are improving. I think they're better. but they're not, I still screw up occasionally. And just it was a while ago, we were watching Interstellar. You know that movie, that Interstellar? That's the way you can tell you're getting older. You refer to every proper noun, you use the word that before it. You know, like, I like that Dustin Timberlake. That's the kind of thing I'm going to say. I'm not that far from it now. You can just, hold the pillow over my head when I say stuff like that. But anyway, actually she's watching Interstellar. I'm watching Anne Hathaway. Because Anne Hathaway, I just can't get over. This is the paragon of beauty. I'm just stunned. And here's what a jerk, what an asshole, what a schmuck I am. I turned to my wife, and we've had a wonderful evening, dinner, and shared our hopes and dreams, and now we're watching this movie, and I turned her out of the blue, and I say, if she showed up at the front door, I would be gone like that. So, what a fucking asshole. Honey, we're sharing the night, and let me just present you with a very unlikely scenario in which I would depart you without a second thought. Let me just throw that out there. She's unfazed by these things. In fact, she knows how unlikely this is. If you think about it, what would it take for Anne Hathaway to show up? She'd have to be driving around central Pennsylvania, I presume. Her car would she'd have to be driving in my neighborhood. Her car would have to break down. She would have to have no cell phone and be alone. She would have to come to my door when I'm home. She would have to knock on the door, and I would have to answer it, and she would have to say, "Hi, I'm Anne Hathaway, star of such movies as Interstellar. My car is broken down. Could I use your phone, I guess, to call AAA?" That's what's going to happen, right? And actually, that's just the start, because during that 5-8 second speech, she has to fall in love with me, and at the end of that, invite me to join her in her Malibu beach house, right? Beach canyon house. It's a magical place. That all has to happen. It's not going to happen. It's completely ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Indeed, I realized as I thought this through, I was thinking, because I feel terrible. My wife is unfazed by this, but I feel like, what kind of schmuck says this? It's me. Why? And I started to think through what would happen if Anne Hathaway came, and I opened the door if she was there. First of all, if my wife was there, I would have to leave, because my wife remembers everything I say. And she would be like, "No, get your fucking ass out there. You said it, Anne Hathaway ever showed up. You're out the door." If I'm wearing my Rolling Stones silk boxers, don't have my glasses on, don't got my wallet, fuck that. She is pushing me out that door saying, "That's what you promised to do." So, and that's probably the scenario. I'm going to be sitting out there in Anne Hathaway's broken down car. And she'll have to go next door, I guess, and ask the neighbors, or maybe she'll. And then, it's going to get on Facebook. Anne Hathaway is wandering around in this big neighborhood, so there's going to be press there. I'm in her car, it's broken. Eventually, AAA comes, tow her car, and then, I'm thinking, we're going to head back to Malibu. This is the life we're waiting for. Then I find out that's her. I just have a minute. I find out, of course, we get to Malibu, things aren't quite what I expected. I'm put into a basement holding pen, right? I'm stripped naked and I've got to put the lotion on. Because, that's the kind of woman that you get if you just went with some woman who showed up at your door and in 10 minutes asked you to go join her. So I'd be down in the pit with Anne Hathaway, putting the lotion on with her Hollywood friends up there. I don't know, Anne and probably Dustin Timberlake, I suppose, down. How am I doing on time? Did I miss the little red thing? 3, is this okay? Or 3 Italian for fuck you? I grew up with Italians. 3, okay, excellent, thanks. So I torture myself with these memories. Should I have done like telling my wife I'd leave for it? And by the way, I wouldn't, this is being recorded, honey, I decided it's not worth it. I don't want to end up in that pit. I will not leave if Anne Hathaway comes. The chicken's super bad though, never mind. But I do wish I had a time machine. I used to be disappointed because I thought there's no such thing as time machines that will take you back. And it wasn't because I knew the physics of this and knew enough to see that it was impossible. It was because if time travel back was possible, we would be inundated with fucking time travelers, right? This place would be overrun. The Cavern Club where the Beatles were playing in 1963 would have like 1 billion people in there. Dealey Plaza, Kennedy's going to get shot, there'd be thousands upon thousands of people. It never happened. And then I thought, well, maybe it is possible. It's just that it's really hard, right? Because if you come back from way in the future, you're indistinguishable from some insane person, right? You go back too far and you're just crazy, so they lock you up. It's more likely you're crazy than that you came from the time when, they have phones and you talk to them, they have the whole, it's crazy. And if you come back from too soon, like just 10 minutes from now, you're just some know-it-all asshole, right? You're like, oh, there's going to be a car accident. Your friends are like, well, first of all, that's fucking creepy, okay? Second of all, would you shut the fuck up? God, you're annoying. You know, so you gotta time it, there's like a sweet spot. I think it's like 18 months. So, you know, like you come back longer and you're crazy too soon and you're just an asshole. So like, look around for the people who are wearing cutting edge fashion. They're not here tonight, in case you're wondering. I just lost the whole crowd, cutting edge fashion. They're like, you said some words, I don't know what they mean. But those are the people, possibly time travelers, right? Okay, we're coming to the time, I think now, when some of those earlier jokes that you didn't laugh at, you're gonna start to get them. So I'm just gonna stand here, these are my fucking laughs, and I'm gonna enjoy them, okay? That's good, a little bit more. Remember it. You now remember, yeah, you remember that joke I told that, right there. That was a funny joke, I knew you'd laugh. That's good, that's good. Oh, I did forget to tell you a joke, you know, if you're wondering if you smoked pot 15 minutes ago, you smoked pot 15 minutes ago. A little slow part in the act earlier. And now come up with the big finish. And we're just about laughing at the end there. And there you go. Thank you very much.
Gary Hardcastle.